13 billion years ago, there was a big bang, and the universe exploded into being. The moments right after the Big Bang, 99% of the mass of the universe was contained in helium and hydrogen nuclei. Talk about a divine mystery. All the other elements were formed when they were flung through space by exploding supernovas. We and everything that we know of were made of the same elements and ingredients from these exploding supernovas. We are made of stardust. Now, isn't that a cool creation story? And we think it's true, right? You know, Jesus often told us and taught us through stories and parables. Am I reverbing? Only I hear that? Okay. In Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, which Howard, you probably memorized this, right? He said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. So let your light shine." It's a good motto. Let your light shine. When I told my son Nick that I was going to speak this morning, and the title of my message is "The Light of Your Own Being," he said, "Mom, you got to talk about babies." And he's right, isn't he? Little babies, their faces, they're just that divine light exploding and making their presence known to us. Our new neighbors have a 6-month-old little baby girl, and every time I see her, I just burst with joy. She's just adorable. So children everywhere, they just are like little Buddhas walking amongst us, aren't they? With wisdom and with love. So I want us to experience a little love trip right now. So if you would you mind closing your eyes? I'd like you to envision someone you know who has loved you unconditionally. Or maybe someone you look toward as an example of spiritual principles, someone who radiates peace, love, and acceptance. This person could be alive or transition to spirit. It might be your grandma, a neighbor, a favorite teacher. Maybe it's Jesus or the Dalai Lama. But just imagine you are with this person right now. And let all your senses help. What you see, what you feel, the sounds, the smells. Be with this person and feel the love and acceptance of being near them. What would your life be like if this person and others had been there for you when you were born, as a child and throughout your life, honoring you, holding you, encouraging you, supporting you, and telling you, you are precious and important to me. You shine like the sun. Your eyes sparkle with starlight and intelligence. You are wise and kind. You reflect love and light and beauty out into the world. And dear one, that's because there's a holy light within you. Slowly open your eyes. How do you feel? What would your life be like if you've been given those loving and empowering messages of truth? It'd be pretty wonderful, wouldn't it? The book of Genesis tells us that we were made in the image and likeness of God. And our second unity principle states that our essence is of God. And we are inherently good. We're born good. That's the divine original blessing. We are born good. That God essence that we talk about in the second principle, we sometimes call it the Christ, the Christ-like, the Christ within. And my favorite is just the light. In unity, we talk about spiritual unity and an awareness of oneness. We are all one in this cosmological sense, that great bang. And there's another way to say the Big Bang, the great radiance. Isn't that nice? Anyway, it all started with this explosive creation of the universe. Everything we know of came from that. We're also one from a terrestrial point of view. We're all living together on this one blue and green planet that revolves around the sun. And we're one because we share a biological sense of beginning. We share that universal genetic code that points to the single origin of life. So we are more alike, we are more one than we are different. The discoveries of science in our time are really remarkable, and it's exciting to me to watch how science and religion come to terms with each other. And we're living in this great time where new discoveries are being made every day. Neuroscience tells us that our brains are wired toward the negative. That should be a relief to you, isn't it? We're just wired that way. So we're wired, and all of the other animals and beings are wired to approach opportunities and to run away and avoid threatening situations. It's just survival instinct with us. But our human brains actually detect negative information way faster than we pick up on positive. Even though most of our life experiences are neutral. So you can think of our brains are like Velcro for negative and like Teflon for positive experiences. And that's why in Unity it's so important we use affirmations to combat that. To combat, that's not a good word. To affirm your goodness and to deny those negative thoughts that go through our brains. So we can learn to lighten up using affirmations. And in addition to them and prayer and meditation, we can learn to let go of things that don't serve us. Letting go of whatever's not needed, not wanted, rarely used. It could be things that clutter up our life, but it also could be actions and thoughts and behaviors that work against us, or even relationships that we have come to find harmful for ourselves. I recently read a book called Clutter Busting Your Life. I told Audrey about it. Clutter Busting Your Life, Clearing Physical and Emotional Clutter to Reconnect with Yourself and Others, fun title, by a guy named Brooks Palmer. And his definition of clutter is anything in our lives that no longer serves us. We can create more open space in life, and when we do, we feel happier because open space supports, comforts, relaxes, and nourishes us. That sounds a little bit like those people we just imagined, doesn't it? The ones that were giving us unconditional love. They support, nurture, relax, and help us come to be the light and life that we are. This author suggests that we get to the root of things. And I can't even tell you how many times I've heard and read that message. Get to the bottom of things and deal with it. He talks a lot about getting rid of psychological clutter. And one of the clutters that he talks about is the clutter of control. Sure, you can work to the best of your ability, and you can plan for things, and you can make projections about what you want, but you're never totally in control of the outcome in any situation. What a relief to let go of the need to control people and situations. It's just like your prayer up there this morning. God's in charge. I don't have to do it. So we like to say, let go and let God. How about the clutter of getting rid of the clutter of avoidance, like procrastination? I think I had a saying that I lived by when I was a teenager, and it was, why do today what you can put off till tomorrow? Can anyone relate to that? I've learned, and probably you have too, that that's not such a good idea. Because procrastination and avoidance don't get rid of our problems, really. Instead, they stagnate and they grow. So we need to deal with our messes before they get bigger, before they infect our present lives. And then there's the clutter of having to be right, having the last word, being the expert, trying to be better than others. You know, wise men and wise women ask themselves, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? It's your choice. There's also the clutter of becoming a better me, you know, always striving to be better. And that's kind of silly because you are made in the image and likeness of God. You're already good. You're already the light. There is no better light. And last, he talks about the clutter of self-criticism. There's that negativity again. We say terrible things to ourselves, don't we, sometimes? Who do you think you are? Those critical inner voices that just focus on the negative and nitpick at every little detail, comparing us. It's no fun. And if you haven't already started working on changing this, then it's definitely time to start. Get those little inner voices on your team. Teach them to be cheerleaders in your life. Do you remember John Lennon's song called Instant Karma? Jimmy, you do. Terry Lee's not here. He would. He likes the Beatles. Anyway, the chorus goes like this. Who do you think you are? A superstar? Well, right you are. We all shine on, like the moon and the stars and the sun. We all shine on. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So for the clutter in your life, just let go. Let go of what hurts. Let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. And strengthen those things that help you and heal you. Keep what makes you feel good and what you truly love. Develop what's wholesome in your life and just weed out what's not. It's like cleaning the windows so more light can get through. Imagine a window with a sheer curtain covering it. Have you heard this phrase, the veil is thin? Yeah. I've heard it in reference to Halloween. On that night it said that the veil between the worlds is lifted. The veil between the ordinary physical world and the spiritual realm. And recently I heard this term used in a broader sense to mean any spiritual experience that we might have. And I like this broader definition. It helps me remember that we each have unique spiritual experiences. Sometimes we share them, but mostly they're individual. We have them when we're alone with Spirit in sacred communion. So I want to tell you a little story. Last week, John and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. Yes. Thank you. It is an accomplishment. You know, on your wedding day, you think that the bliss is going to last forever, and then, I don't know, somewhere in the 5th, 6th, 7th year, you begin to wonder if you're going to make it another year. And then, lo and behold, you work and you love, and time flies, and here we are, 25 years. And I can tell you that humor really helps, and I'm married to a very funny guy. I love him. Anyway, the story. On the morning of our anniversary, I was on a walk with our little dog, Jasmine. Many of you know her. And she and I had been walking about 20 minutes when out of the blue, I thought of my friend who died last summer. Judy was a beautiful soul, and she was so creative. She would make these beautiful homemade cards with words of wisdom inside, and she would mail them to us on our birthdays and anniversaries and all the holidays, and they just would come at the right time. So out of the blue, I thought of her, and I knew that if she was still alive, we would be getting a card from her that day. The thought was so spontaneous to me that it felt like a message from her, from Spirit, and I felt a deep sense of peace and love and connection at that. And just then, a bald eagle swooped over my head. I watched it circle and glide over me, and then over the lake, and then it circled around over our house, and all around the lake again. And I was just so amazed. There's kind of a history of eagles with John and I, so I stopped and took out my cell phone and began to send him a text message saying that I'd seen this eagle, and I thought it was such a lovely blessing on our anniversary. And then I pushed send. And when I looked up, a pickup truck had pulled onto the shoulder right next to me. And the driver had rolled down the passenger window and called out to me, "Excuse me, can you tell me where the emergency room is?" And I gave him directions. And as he pulled away, I said a little prayer for him and whoever was in need of emergency service. And then I turned us around and headed home. But I had a funny feeling in all of that. It was like when you wake up in the morning and you had a dream while you were sleeping and you still feel like you're in the dream. Have you had that before? Yeah, I felt like that, sort of dreamy, otherworldly. And then I looked up and there's the bald eagle again, right above me. I was in awe. I was doing that day what I do nearly every day of my life, walk the dog. But that day something extraordinary happened. It felt like the veil was thin. You see or sense things in this ordinary world that seem to be from the spiritual world. We call it sacred. We call it holy ground. You know, we see sunrises and sunsets every day, beautiful landscapes, flowers, cute animals, cute kids. But then, one morning, something about a goldfinch perched on a brown-eyed Susan just stops us in our tracks. Maybe it's the way the light catches the feathers. Maybe it's the way that bird is balancing on such a thin stem. I don't know. Time stands still. Nothing else matters but watching. The veil is thin. And the experience is expansive. We feel the oneness. We're it. We're in it. But why? Why sometimes is it just a pretty bird on a flower? And sometimes it's so much more. Well, it might be about quieting ourselves, about taking the time to be fully present, and allowing that sacred space to be, and allowing yourself to be included in that sacred space. An easy way to reach sacred space for me, and probably for you, is breathing to center yourself and connect with Spirit. Just as simple as saying, breathing in, breathing out. Just one or two breaths will relax you, energize you, and connect you with your inner light. And visualizing, like we did earlier this morning, speaking loving affirmations. They're powerful ways to turn up your light. Taking a moment to be present and allowing that wise and ancient part of yourself to be the witness, to observe itself within you, the being, the light within. In Unity, we're committed, aren't we, to growing our consciousness through prayer, meditation, through education, through healing. And there are two amazing opportunities for you this week. This week, on Thursday, World Day of Prayer. It's just, well, hey, the theme is the universe is calling. You bet it is, and we are part of it. You can join with thousands of other people connecting in this sacred time and bring your things to place on the altar and be part of that just wonderful sacred time. Service starts at 7, right? And then another really beautiful opportunity for spiritual expansion and serving at Unity is through the prayer chaplain program. I can't even express how much you grow if you take this opportunity. You deepen your awareness of oneness. You experience your light and the divine light in the other people that you're praying with. You lose critical thinking and find this deeper connection of love with other prayer chaplains and with all the members of our community. So if you hear that little nudge, just please answer it. That prayer chaplain orientation is today, shortly after our service, and I guarantee you will grow like you won't believe. So go to that meeting and see if it might be a fit for you. I'd like to close today with talking about Hafiz, who is a 14th century Persian poet. I love him. To this day, people still memorize his poems and proverbs and sayings, and I enjoy this little book. I Heard God Laughing, Poems of Hope and Joy. Donna's nodding. It's your favorite too. Hafiz wants us to let go of negativity, to let go of attachments that weigh us down. He says we ought to be light, we ought to be happy, and we ought to be dancing. Here are some of his beautiful words. I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. I want to read it again. Just take it in, please. I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. You're here because the stars blew up. Your body and this whole glorious world are made of stardust. And you, my friends, are astonishing